G'day fellas. Welcome to a game between April, who's spawning in the north of the map on the Ottomans, playing in the colour blue, and Haitch, who's spawning in the south of the map on the colour red, playing the Russians. The Russians and the Ottoman are both civilizations that we haven't seen a lot of recently, mainly because both of these civilizations are Rush civilizations, and in the definitive edition, Rush civilizations aren't as strong as they used to be. And the reason why is because of how good maps have gotten. Maps have gotten to the point where each player is guaranteed to have a first and a second hunt relatively close to their base. And because of this, it means that any early pressure that's going to be applied, let's say if Haitch rushes into April's base or April rushes into Haitch's base, that these hunts are going to be under each of their respective town centers. And that means that they're not going to be able to really prevent gathering from happening. Of course, there's going to be idling that's going to be happening, but it's not like there's going to be an overly difficult situation for either player being unable to gather resources. In addition to that, if we take a look at the map, you can see both players have got relatively safe resources in and around their town center that they begin with. So they've got trees, they've got berry bushes, and they've got coin mines. So take a look and see what Haitch is up to. We've seen the Hazarov Explorer, famous for picking up 75 food back in 1946, and it's great to see that he looks like he's going to be doing the same thing now, going for a 75 food treasure. We see the Ottoman Explorer also going to be picking up a treasure up here to the north, going for an 80 wood treasure. We'll take a look at the decks. We see the opening, so we've got the mosque opening, as well as a TP, so really focusing on that early XP. We did see Silk Road coming in, but it has been cancelled. Now 3 villages coming in instead. We'll take a look at the deck. So we've got the land deck, very standard deck, a lot of artillery upgrades in here. We've got Cav Combat in the 3rd age. No church cards, so one of the things that we do see sometimes are the unique church card and the cheaper mosque upgrades, but that isn't the case with this deck, so quite a standard deck. April picking up that 80 wood treasure now, got 81 wood in the bank, so probably going to be looking to take down the remaining trading posts on the trading line. I wouldn't be surprised. The Ottomans do typically go for something a little bit orientated more towards Stagecoach. We'll check back in with Haitch. We'll see what Haitch is up to. Haitch is still getting a treasure. Haitch's Explorer getting quite low, down to 107 HP, managing to pick up the treasure, 75 wood, so 2 really nice treasures from Haitch. Explorer coming in, named I Am Grunt from April, getting a shot off on Hazarov. Going to be moving down towards the south, back towards his base. Looks like he's retreating it up. Sending in distributivism, so we'll take a look and see what Haitch has got. Now, keep in mind, he's left his wood crates on the ground. This is 140 wood that he's left here, just because he doesn't need that wood just yet. So we'll take a look and see what Haitch has got. Deck is called 1 versus 1. We've got Advanced Arsenal in. We've got Boyers. We've also got the unique church card. In addition to that, we've got the Manchu in H3. So this is going to be helping Haitch out with any potential anti-cav. Reformist Tsar enables a Kalmark upgrade. So Kalmarks are Dragoon units that are available for, I think it's 1,000 wood once you send this card here. So quite a strong set of anti-cavalry units that Russia lacks particularly. And we see Haitch's macro is actually very, very nice. Picking up that 75 food treasure first means that he's going to be able to do an Idlers 14. Now, this is quite difficult to do with Russia. We see he manages to get it into Q. Quartermaster now going up. We'll check in back on April. We'll see what April is up to. April now in the middle of the map, going to be picking up an 80 coin treasure. We can see that April's got 29 coin in bank. Not gathering anymore, gathering no wood, only gathering food. So I do suspect we're going to be seeing a Tower FF coming in here. If we check the age up, we do see the Governor. So the Governor is going to be sending through that 200 coin and also the forward outpost, which is always an option. But I think in this matchup, one of the things that you're wanting to avoid is instead of sending your outpost from the Governor down, towards your opponent's base, you probably want to just keep it in your base, because you're going to have Cossacks, you're going to have muskets, you're going to have strelets, you're going to have all those, difficult to deal with units, and it's probably important that you've got it in your base helping defend. We see that a couple of Ibex getting stuck in around this tree. It's a little bit more difficult. This villager did come out, try and herd them in, but still getting stuck there a little bit. We'll take a look and see the resources outside the map, and we can see that this hunt has started migrating away from April's base, so it can be frustrating to make that decision to get the hunts in earlier rather than later in the definitive edition. Especially, hunts are more active in the way that they move. You can actually see Haitch has got his first hunt in as well. Or maybe I should be referring to this as the second hunt, because the first hunt is the hunt that you get under your town center. This is the second hunt. So both players having relatively close, and Haitch also picking up the 80 food. So now going up with the Governor. I see that 43 Raiders from Ukity have joined us. Ukity, welcome. Thank you very much for coming in. We're taking a look at a game between April and Haitch. April actually asking in the chat, where is Blockhouse? And Haitch now picking up that 80 food. Haitch even telling him it's forward. So both players being very friendly. Players both understanding the matchup. The game is in Korean. That's because we're looking at the perspective from April. April is from Korea. And that is why we're getting it in that Korean language. So now the outpost is going forward, and it has found the blockhouse that has been set down by Haitch. So probably going to be a little bit... needs to be probably careful with this outpost wagon, because Haitch is aged up. 4 minutes 43. You can expect that Cossacks are definitely in shipment. Probably some musketeers are being trained at this point as well. Typically, you don't want to open normally Strelets against a Russian player, just because against an Ottoman player, just normally because they're going to be aging up with the scout. And they essentially know that you can make Strelets. Now, obviously, you can open with Strelets if it's just, you know, one batch of Strelets or two batches of Strelets, something like that. But typically, you're going to see a more musket-focused build order. Haitch saying, I told you, smiley-faced. And sending in the 700 wood behind that, so we're going to have a very nice age up in queue. Take a look how early this age up is going to be in queue. Age up going into queue now at 5 minutes and 15, 16, 17 seconds. So before the Cossacks even get into the base, the age up is in queue, going to the third age. So very, very tight macro there from April. Looking like he's going to be punished a little bit for sending out that outpost wagon. Just doing a little bit of a sad face in the chat as well. Now the 700 coin, or 700 wood rather, he's coming in, bringing in a couple of settlers. We see this settler is a little bit far out. This settler almost getting caught up on the Cossacks. Bringing that settler in preemptively, knowing that there's a batch of 10 Strelets that are coming through. Going up with the scout, so the scout is going to be those 4 hussars that we mentioned earlier. The villagers now picking up the wood from the home city shipment. We'll take a look and see what options he's got to send. So he could send 3 hussars or 5 janissaries from the home city, just to sort of give him a little bit more leverage. Probably not a bad idea, because we take a look at just the range on these outposts just isn't quite enough to be getting this down, and Haitch is definitely abusing that. We look at Haitch's perspective, we see the way that he's moving around, and he's just really trying to be as cheeky as possible. He knows the outpost is on this side. First villager almost going down. We'll take a look at the HP on these ones. Second villager getting shot. We've got a third, fourth villager now going inside. A couple of villagers cheekily down here, and Haitch beginning to burn down the barracks of April. Now, this is a little bit more difficult to do. Strelet's siege is quite low, only 7, and a first villager going down. It looks like the second one's probably going to go down as well, managing to get inside as well. Now got a single Cossack that remains, as well as 7 Strelets. Villager now, oh gosh, he's being so cheeky with that. I don't think this barracks is under any threat of going down. It's more just being delayed at this point and seeing if he can pick off any villagers. We see only low HP villagers getting pulled back inside the town center. The high HP ones are coming out to build the racks. Racks finally does go up, which means janissaries are going to be eventually coming out. And 5 janissaries getting shipped from the home city here. Looks like they were put into melee and then initially, and then switched back. We take a look and see from April's perspective, he should have his age up any second now. So potentially a bit of an overreaction here with 5 janissaries being shipped from the home city. That's a large shipment that's been used. Now, obviously, he's going to be able to utilize that shipment. It's essentially, you know, the difference is 5 janissaries or 8 janissaries. It's not a huge loss for him, but now finally getting that age up in queue, going to be able to pick up the remaining wood of his 700 wood shipment and dropping down those houses. He still hasn't taken any trading posts along this line. Obviously, no stagecoach just yet. Explorer now moving out towards the right side of the map. We can see April is moving out, probably looking to do a loop around, potentially get some idling, or even potentially searching for those last units of Haitches. We'll take a look. There's that Cossack. He could potentially be looking for it. We'll tune back in with Haitch. We'll see what he's up to. Haitch is actually up to the 3rd age right now. So doing a wonderful fake-out strategy here, I would say. Just almost a little bit of a semi-FF, a toxic semi-FF, going up with the Exile Prince. Going to be up probably before 8 minutes with this as well. We'll have a look at the shipments that he sent through. So he sent through Distributivism, 5 Cossacks, and then 700 coin directly behind it. So really just going all out into this sort of like semi-FF. Now grabbing 120 XP as well. For Huss moving down to begin to idle Haitch. We'll take a look at the upgrades that he's got. He's actually got his steel traps upgrade in as well. So now getting that, now getting 3 Cav Archers in queue, sending 1,000 wood. 1,000 wood behind this is quite greedy. With 1,000 wood, what are we going to be like? What are the options that we could be going for with 1,000 wood as rush? Obviously, the first thing I'm thinking of is trading post. You know, you're going to accelerate your shipments. We've already got 1 trading post, but the issue that you're going to have is that April's going to be pushing out with a whole bunch of janissaries. 2 falconets are going to be on the way. And with that, we're going to see Haitch in a little bit of a difficult spot because he's going to have 1,000 wood, but realistically, okay, so the 1,000 wood is going to buy him at the very least a blockhouse, maybe a second blockhouse back here, maybe a town center as well, but even then, you know, to be honest, you could probably go an artillery foundry preemptively, just knowing that the 2 falconets are going to be coming. I do like the batch of the cavalry archers as well, because there's always the risk that your opponent could be sending in Spahi, and we do know that there's already the hussars out, so they're going to be able to deal with them quite effectively. You want to avoid making muskets, in my opinion, in the third age as the Russians. They're not the strongest units. Obviously, you can get those upgrades for them, but we do start to see April now pulling ahead with about a 2k score lead at this point. Haitch has got a shipment sitting in queue, but he doesn't have the population space to send it. Now dropping down a house with 3 villagers, realizing the urgency here. We still don't see any falconets coming out, but if Haitch is aware, he would have seen those 2 falconets coming in. Probably going to be sending in falconets of his own here. We'll have a look. Where's the shipment? Sending in 19 strelets. So Haitch really just saying, you know what, we're going to go a little bit crazy here. It looks like on the back line, I'm not sure exactly what that was that got taken out. It could have been a hussar, or it might have been that last Cossack. I think it was probably that last Cossack, the single Cossack. Blockhouse now going up over on the north side of the map as well. 2 villagers building this. Going to get harassed. Now, these villagers do have their great coats, so potentially going to get up with the very last villager. No, it's not. Haitch losing a whole bunch of wood here. This is 250 wood to go up. Falconets taking out the villager. This is essentially 250 wood that's lost. No XP for Haitch for building it, and 61 XP for his opponent for killing it. So really, really nice. We've got the 2 falconets on the way, so he has actually cancelled the 19 strelets and going to be going for more cavalry archers. We've got 5 more cav archers in queue. The blockhouse back in base did manage to get up, so that's what he was using that 1,000 wood for. So dropping down those extra blockhouses. Now keep in mind, blockhouses are essentially a house. They do provide 10 population, so it's almost like you're only paying 150 wood for them, because they do provide that 10 population, which is covered by a house, which is normally 100 wood. Now we've got the Cossacks, or rather the cavalry archers, taking down some of the hussars. We see how difficult it is for them to take down the hussars. Even they've got a slower speed, or not a slower speed, but a slower speed than the typical dragoon unit, and it means that it's difficult for them to chase around raids and kill enemy cavalry. If he had dragoons in this situation, he very easily would have shut down this raid and killed both of the remaining hussars, but unfortunately they remain a threat that he's got to watch out for. Now those veteran hussars, or veteran cavalry archers getting trained. So we've got a batch of 15 veteran cavalry archers now for Haitch. We'll have a look. He's got placer mines, or is it placer mines? Sorry, placer mines is sent in. That's a riot coke dig, by the way. That's a riot coke dig. So he's got placer mines sent in, and now dropping down another blockhouse at the front. So really emphasizing map control here with Haitch. Often we don't see players going for these sort of outposts or forward bases to protect villages. Haitch is definitely establishing himself on the map. We'll switch over back to April. We'll see his perspective. April got the 2 falconets out on the back. Now, he doesn't actually have veterancy on these Janissaries, and Janissary veterancy is an important upgrade to get. It's an extra 20% health, an extra 20% attack, and for the Janissaries, which have a very high base attack, a very high base health, it's a huge amount of health, and it means that they're able to survive a lot more from those AoE shots that we're getting out. But we do actually see that we've got Mamelukes now coming in behind it, so I would love to see, you know, even if you just bought 200 wood and just did the upgrade for them right now, it would be lovely to see. But the Mamelukes are really what are going to be able to take this game by storm. Primarily because the Mamelukes are going to be able to kill the enemy falconets before Haitch's falconets can kill April's falconets. So it really comes down to whose falconets survive. But keep in mind, by the same token, Haitch has got the ability to use his cavalry archers to nullify the falconets of his opponent. So it really just comes down to who's better able to protect their falconets. And to be honest, I would probably say that April's unit composition is going to help him a lot more when it comes to defending his falconets. But Haitch's micro, well, Haitch is famous for his micro, an incredibly strong player, always on the ball. And we see just right now the way that he's covering his falconets perfectly from the enemy. So we've got now the falconets taking fire upon the back line of the on the back of the Janissaries. Janissaries moving into melee combat and just sort of giving up this position right now. Falconets on the back line, going to be taking out the second falconet of Haitch. Haitch losing that both falconets. So both falconets going down. 3 Mamelukes remain. So just a single Mameluke was taken out in that fight. We take a look. We hear some shots being fired. It's from the blockhouse. Blockhouse also popping out 10 strelets. Now moving in, the veteran cavalry archers moving in towards the back. Mamelukes on top of the strelets. The cav archers have got 30% melee resist, so the fact that Janissaries are in melee combat with them is only going to help. We've got the strelets on top of the falconets as well, so doing a poor job of defending his falconets. He definitely could have kept them alive there. Mamelukes burning down, or rather hammering down the back line Strelets. But still, we've got the cavalry archers from Haitch that are just slowly microing away, using their faster rate of fire to take down the Janissaries. And Haitch is in a relatively difficult spot here. 3 Mamelukes remain, down to 500 HP. This is the lowest. The other 2 are full HP. So, despite only having 3 of them and only putting out a little bit of damage, they're just so damn tanky and so hard to stop. So, a difficult position for Haitch, but he has actually pulled ahead in score despite that. So, we'll do a little bit of a stock take. We'll check village accounts. We see that there's 24 villages for April up against 36 villages for Haitch. Haitch now sending in cavalry combat as well behind this. So really utilizing the fact that he knows that cavalry archers can be quite good against the against the Ottoman player, and that the Ottoman player really doesn't have anything to respond to it short of Abus guns. Abus guns are really about it that they've got, because the cavalry archers trade even quite well with the Janissaries at range. They can't get into melee mode, or if they do get into melee mode, they're not going to have too many issues because they've got that 30% resist. The Janissaries have now finally been upgraded to veterancy. We also see 8 Janissaries coming in from the home city, so up to 21 Janissaries. And the difficult thing for April is, because at this point, he can start mixing in Abus guns, but then Haitch just starts mixing back in Strelets, and that's exactly what he's doing. So he's got 10 Strelets out on the field now, 18 veteran cavalry archers, one of the more underrated units that we do see, but Haitch still seems to make it work. And it's quite impressive to see, because often we see players, myself included, continue to diss the cavalry archer, talk about how it's not one of the better dragoon units. It's not, you know, it's slower. It's sure it's got a higher rate of fire. It's got more DPS, but it's very difficult to kite. It's very difficult to micro with. Now we see a single Mameluke pushing up onto the Strelets, looking to do a bit of tanking. And we see the Janissaries just moving forward, getting into melee combat. I'm not sure if that is the right decision, to be honest. They do have that bonus, but it's not a huge bonus. It's only a 2x bonus now. And the Strelets now also getting upgraded to veterancy, beginning to push back on these Janissaries. We take a look at April's perspective. We see what he's got coming in. Realistically, he just continues to make Janissaries and uses his Mamelukes. I'd be curious to see what he's going to be sending from the home city. Sending in Janissary combat, I really feel like at this point you just almost want to be going for... He doesn't actually have 5 Abus guns in his deck. He doesn't even have 1,000 coin that he can send it, because he's already sent it. He must have sent it to get the Mamelukes out, because it can be quite expensive to get those out. We actually see that he's trained an Imam on the back line, and the Imam is going to be doing a huge amount of healing. A huge amount of healing. So going to be healing up these Mamelukes, getting them up, increasing their HP, and this is a really good utilization of the Imam. So every civilization's got access to a healer unit, and it's something that we rarely see just simply because of its cost. 150 coin is quite expensive, and despite that, managing to pull ahead on the health pool, so up to about 50% health now. So we'll have a look at Haitch, see what he's up to on his perspective. Immaculate macro, really nice. We can just see that, you know, he's got, look how just absolute spot on his macro is at this point. 2 resources, under 20, and he's got his coin. I think at the time it was about 110 coin. And then we've got he's continuing to have map control here. Now keep in mind, he doesn't have Spice Trade in his deck, but he does have Refrigeration. Spice Trade is something that we do see Russian players going for when they're opting for a longer Age 2. But obviously with Haitch going for a quick Age 3 here, he hasn't needed it. So we've still got those villages with steel traps, gathering quite fast. So needing map control to gather more. If we take a look over at April, we see that April's on berries. So ideally you want to avoid being on berries. You want to be out here hunting on these hunts, because we see the gather rate. We've got 0.67 against 0.84. A little bit of a scuffle. Folding out in the middle, we've got 26 veteran Janissaries. The 3 Ottoman Mamelukes now pushing forward as well. We see the health on these guys is not too bad at all. He's managed to heal them all up, but quite a decent mass for Haitch as well. 16 cavalry archers and 32 veteran Strelets, which are going to be able to deal with these units very effectively. We see the Mamelukes getting focused down by the veteran cavalry archers, and finally the Strelets are letting the Janissaries get on top of them, just doing a little bit of micro, pushing it back. Beautiful micro from Haitch. We see the way that he moves these the cavalry archers down to the south. We see them, he's just pulling everything back just ever so slightly. He's not grouping everything up together. He's just moving it back little bit by little bit, and that's the game getting called. Haitch coming out victorious, a 4K score lead at that point. His opponent's army completely defeated, and we see April, unfortunately, falling victim to Haitch once again. We'll take a look at the timeline. All resources gathered, we can see that Haitch is a mile ahead. We'll have a look at villager population. We're going to see the exact same thing, and we'll take a look at military unit production as well. Where is it? Military unit production. There we go. Military unit population. So we see that early boost from Haitch, and then pushing up. We see the first fight, Haitch falling down quite significantly. Both players walking away. A fight never really being committed to until the end, where we see Haitch just absolutely destroy the forces of April with a much larger mass. I hope that you've enjoyed this video. I hope that you've enjoyed the gameplay between April and Haitch. If you'd like to see more stuff from Haitch, I'm going to leave a link in the description to Haitch's YouTube channel. He puts out a lot of good content. Keep in mind, at this point in time, he's rank 1 on the ladder, so an incredibly talented player. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.